This is another one of those videos where I'm not necessarily going to entertain you, but I hope that what I have to share with you comes across in an entertaining type of manner. And I'm definitely not going to be recommending a bunch of fragrances in this video as I normally would and as you might normally see across YouTube. So sorry to disappoint you in advance, but I have some really interesting thoughts I want to share with you, and I would love your feedback down in the comments. That's what videos like this are about. I haven't stirred the pot in some time. I'm putting on my chef's hat and I'm stirring the pot. Why are cheap fragrances so appealing? This is a rhetorical question, but I'm going to do my best to answer it in a few different ways that I hope resonate with most of you. And just for clarity, let's establish cheap as $40 or less for a full bottle of a fragrance. I think this is a range that fits almost anyone's budget. So as quickly as I can, I'm going to analyze 3 of the absolute most common sentiments that I see around YouTube in answer to this question. Number 1, because I don't make a lot of money and I can't afford more expensive fragrances. In my opinion, this is a very reasonable answer. If this is your main reason for primarily buying cheap fragrances, then it means you're making an effort to be spending conscious. It means you're trying to avoid paying more money than you can afford on luxuries so that you still have enough money to cover your expenses, which is way more important than buying a bunch of fragrances. Kudos to you. However, if there is one flaw that I can examine in this philosophy, it's the idea of gratification. Even if you feel that you are only able to buy cheap, I know, or at least would imagine, that many of you are still making at least one new purchase every month. Have you ever asked yourself why? If your disposable income is indeed low, why spend it on unnecessary luxuries relatively often? Well, as I said, it comes down to gratification, more specifically, instant gratification. I know you've heard this term before, and unfortunately, many of us succumb to it every single day, thanks to social media. This is an emotional decision to satisfy a want or desire in the immediate present, even if it provides no logical benefit in the future. The opposite of this is obviously delayed gratification, not sexy stuff at all. And in this case, we can simply amount it to foregoing the relatively frequent, cheaper purchases you might be making, and instead saving up for fewer high quality items. Thus, you're buying less often and may even end up spending less money in the long run. But my biggest hope for you watching this, far above saving up for some higher quality, more expensive fragrance, is that you seek a way to elevate your lifestyle in your short time here on Earth. Especially if you live in a first world country, there are countless ways to make a supplemental income out there on top of your job. And you don't need to go back to school to do it. It comes down to using your unproductive time though. The time you might be spending playing video games, watching Netflix, or watching videos like this after work. Don't shrink your goals to match your income. Grow your income to match your goals. Here's the second sentiment I see pretty often. More expensive, higher quality fragrances are not widely available in my country/region. In my opinion, this is the most reasonable answer to the question of why are cheaper fragrances so appealing. This issue is out of your control because you don't have a choice over what is available to you. Now, this is no excuse to buy as many cheap fragrances as you can afford, but it at least explains why you're not saving your money to spend on fewer, more high quality fragrances. And the third sentiment I see all over YouTube, because I don't believe any fragrance is worth paying more than X number of dollars on. This is an intriguing piece of logic to me. It is not right, but simultaneously it's not wrong. It is simply an issue of value. And at its smallest level, value is determined by each individual consumer. That's you. But at its largest level, value is ultimately determined by the market at large, which is you plus everyone else who buys fragrances beyond you. So if there is a demographic of people who believe that Kilian Straight to Heaven is worth spending anywhere from $180 up to $300 on, does this mean they're being ripped off? Are they being gypped? Well, we would need to examine a few elements in order to answer that. For one, what is the quality of the product itself? Is the company actually using the higher quality materials they claim they use that warrants the margin that they're charging? Depending on the company, yes. it is worth the money because they're being honest about their products. But the most important element is an obvious one. People who have access to more expensive products and have the money to spend on them will buy them. Thus, they are the target consumer for these companies. Niche fragrance brands are niche for several reasons, one of them being that they cater to a specific niche of consumers. If you are not included in that niche, and you know when you aren't because you know how you feel when you see the price tag, that's totally fine, completely okay. Hopefully one day you will be included in that niche. But those who are included are not being gypped or ripped off as long as they're doing their research and spending within their prescribed budget. So obviously, as I said, I don't have any fragrances to recommend to you in this video, although Straight to Heaven is an awesome fragrance. I've been talking about it for a long time. I bought this bottle a couple years ago and I love this stuff. If you want to try it for yourself, I will link a decant in the description. DecantX does carry it. As many of you guys already know, we have a discount code with them. It's StayFresh15. That saves you money on your purchase and at no extra cost to you gives me a very, very small kickback on every sale. If you want to support the channel, then you can consider doing that. And no, this video is not sponsored by DecantX. They're just one of my favorite go-to sources. Now, a few closing thoughts. The last thing I'm trying to convey in this video is that cheap fragrances are a waste of money. That is obviously not true. There's definitely some great quality out there. And as we already discussed, what is valuable to you is only determined by you, not me. But unfortunately, the online market, the social media space in regards to fragrances has been completely inundated by this monsoon of these cheaply made dupe fragrances, or somewhat dupe fragrances, and they are influencing so many of you guys to hoard them at alarming rates with the false truth that you're saving money by avoiding the originals. I'm not here to tell you what to buy or what not to buy. I'm just encouraging you to not listen to your heart when it comes to purchasing fragrances. Instead, take your brain with you and be honest with yourself. And with that, I want to thank you so much for tuning in. Peace. I'll see you in the next one.